In Denmark and in the rest of Scandinavia, it's common and like very common to see babies sleeping in their strollers outside in cafes, bars, gardens and balconies. They're pretty much everywhere, and most interestingly, also in winter. Even if it's -5 degrees or if it's like again below freezing, even if it's raining or snowing, you'll still see up in strollers all over the place. Again, the babies all cozy up while their parents have a drink, eat lunch, or just go around the house and eat the kids in the balcony. I have 2 little boys, and as a good Dane I have become, of course I have them sleeping outdoors like this. It works wonders. Not only the kids don't get sick by sleeping in the cold, but on top of that, they normally sleep long and deep. It's just great. But this, as you can imagine, was a problem for my mom. She, as an overprotective Latina mom, was like, "Are you insane, Mario?" And I can't blame her. Like, if you read the news, it turns out that some Nordic parents have even been arrested in places like Canada for having their babies sleeping out in the cold. And again, here it's completely normal. It's like completely again normal for me to just have this. I mean, I even need to insist sometimes that we just leave the baby outside. And this is one of the things where I say like, wow, look at me, I have really become a Dane here. But now in the rest of this video, let's go for a few more. Drinking beer while walking babies. So beyond the balcony, to walk babies in their stroller is also an excellent way to get them to sleep. And that's not news here, that's pretty much everywhere else in the world. But in Denmark, you'll also see many groups of men doing it together. So that's also a novelty in the sense that there's a lot of guys taking their kids out to walk. But in many cases, you'll see the guys having a drink while they do this as well. So they might be having a beer or a drink and so on. And for me, again, to have a beer with my friends while we're walking our own babies, it's completely normal. I got my kids here, so I have nothing to compare really. But you can see that the tourists and even like the Swedes or the other people from Nordic countries are like staring at us like, what's wrong with you? Because again, we're like having a beer while we're getting our babies sleeping in the stroller. And this goes back to what I told you in the video that's gonna be linked over here, that in Denmark it's a fact of life that you can drink in school, you can get drunk with colleagues, and in that context, again, just to have a drink while you're walking around like this with your kids, like of course, like why not? And by the way, if you find this interesting, subscribe to the channel. I post videos like this every single week. One more thing unique to Denmark in a way is to plan way ahead. So in Denmark, it's likely that this meetup with friends, or almost any type of meetup you organize with friends, again with more than 1 or 2 friends, or even sometimes with just 1 friend, might have been organized 3 or 4 weeks ahead. People plan way ahead here, even for the small things. I think this is so crazy that it's even bizarre. But again, like, you just meld into the society because of the way it works. And I'll just give an example which I think it's pretty crazy. I remember the second year I was in Denmark. I got an invitation in January for one of my friends' birthday. And I remember this girl was not even Danish. And then it was in January, and guess when? The birthday, again, not a wedding, not like a super fancy thing, like the birthday. The birthday was in June. So I was like, she was like, save the date. I was like, what? Again, saving up for the birthday in June when we got the invitation in January. Crazy. But again, like even in that context, in Denmark, people are like, okay, fine, okay, maybe it's a bit too early, but 2-3 months maybe? I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I think it's getting better now, as I said. I can see people are becoming more spontaneous, but still spontaneous in a Danish context could mean that instead of, again, 6-month lead time for the birthday, we could do 2 months, or if you're crazy, even like 2 or 3 weeks. But this gets into your skin. I do spontaneous activities, but I also, for instance, invite friends for a picnic at least a few weeks ahead. Again, melding in the Danish culture again. Next up is to escape the rush hour. One more thing interesting about Denmark, and this says a lot about the country and the work culture and the working in Denmark, is that if you want to skip the rush hour in the metro, in the streets, you name it, right? You need to commute before 3:30 p.m. or after 5 p.m. Because in Denmark, 3:30, 4 p.m. is the rush hour. And again, this is a work-life balance country after all, right? And kindergartens and daycares close around that time. So the streets are packed. If you're still at the office at 5:30 or 6 p.m, people will be like, what's wrong with you? Maybe not applicable to all professions and to all companies, but again, for most places, it is like that. And even on Fridays, like 3 p.m, the streets are packed and the office is a ghost town by 5 p.m. So like a Dane, I plan my commute around this. And if I would drive, which I almost never do, or take the metro, again, that I also don't do so much, I will really watch out for those times. Eating open sandwiches. So the ultimate test of Danishness would be if you eat Danish food. Like if you like tartletter, we know that you have crossed a proverbial Rubicon. But you don't need to go that far to consider yourself Danish. More simple, for instance, would be if you eat the so-called open sandwiches. And that's a sandwich where you have the bread in the bottom, but then nothing on top. So basically order, like you have the bread, then you have like the meat or whatever it is, egg, salad, you name it, and then no bread on the top. And I only saw this here in Denmark. And again, after some time, I found it completely normal. Like, of course, it's fine that the sandwich has only bread in the bottom, like type of normal. And I also found it normal to see people eating a burger with fork and knife. This was a bit of a stretch for me from the very beginning. Like, isn't not the whole point of the burger that you eat it with your hands. Again, not the case here. You can be the odd one out in a sit-down burger place if you use your dirty fingers to eat what could easily be eaten with fork and knife. And just a few more points. It might take a while, but long enough in Denmark, you'll find it normal that you don't need to say please. So you don't have much of a choice. There's not even a word in a Danish language to say please. There are of course some workarounds, yes, but not a really proper word. And you'll also burn a lot more candles in a month than you have probably done in the whole of your life until you move to Denmark. It's said that 6 kilos of candles per person per year is the average here. If that's part of the hobby culture here, it's nice for the winter months. And there's this video over here where I explain more of that in depth. And last, and this is the ultimate test, you'll find it completely normal after some time in Denmark that when you get paid your salary, around half of it will go in taxes. If you have a 60,000 krona Danish salary, maybe you only get slightly more over 30,000. You don't blink and you just take it as a matter of fact situation, right? So of course there are certain exceptions to this tax everything highly approach here, and you can see those in the video linked over here.